Every year, except 2020, my church and many others undertake the massive project of putting on a summer program for the kids in the community. This is most often referred to as Vacation Bible School or Bible Camp. If you ever went to these as a kid, you probably remember what it was like. Many people I've spoken to have fond memories of that time. Bible Camp takes a lot of moving parts to get the final production working, and everyone has their own role. My role? I direct a puppet show. What's interesting is that our curriculum doesn't have a puppet show written into it, but it's been a classic at my church for so long, we couldn't get rid of it. So that means I get to write my own scripts. And if you've watched a few of these videos, I'm sure you can imagine how much fun I have with that. But writing a script for a puppet show into another person's curriculum is not an easy thing to do. I have to examine all the aspects of the lesson for that day and somehow create my own material. And the hard part? It has to not suck. This year, before making the show, I wanted to reference some other churches who do puppet shows. So I took to the internet and found some church puppet shows. And I have to admit, I was really impressed. I did not know it was possible to fail a puppet show that hard. Okay, now I know that's harsh, but I feel like I have to be. And it's worth mentioning that there's not a lot of them online, which I thought was a little surprising. So I'm not saying that your puppet show sucks, but it might. But that's okay. Church is made up of volunteers, and sometimes those people who do things like put on a puppet show aren't necessarily the perfect person for the job. But they saw a need and they stepped up and filled that need in service. And I'm dead serious that that's super respectable and important. But for those of you looking to make a good play or show or any kind for your church, I'm not just gonna roast you and then leave. This is definitely not something I do professionally, but I think I've learned enough to be able to give some basic help on what I think is the most significant problem in all of the shows that I watched. The problem is this: the people who made them didn't understand the difference between a lesson and a story. The easiest trap to fall into, and I have to be super wary of this too, even though I know about it, is to look at the material or the message you're trying to get across, and then turn it into a monologue or maybe even a dialogue, and then just have your characters say the things that you're trying to teach. How many times have you seen something like this? Whoa, I'm so glad I came to Bible camp. I'm having so much fun. I'm so glad I decided to accept Jesus and brush my teeth and not hit my sister and do my laundry and read my Bible and go to Pensacola Christian College. I made 5 videos ever, and how many times have I roasted them? Anyways, the point is this. That's not a show. That's not a story. That's just a lesson being told by puppets. What you need is a story. A story does not function on the same basic principles of a lesson. A story appeals to emotion, and it grabs attention by luring someone into a plot. And you can do that with a variety of methods and with a variety of styles. For a puppet show, one of the best genres is comedy. Why? Because that's what puppets are often used for in the secular world. The medium of a puppet show in general was designed for parody, satire, and humor. Here's an example. One year, the theme for one of the days at Bible camp was God's Word Never Changes. Great lesson. Now, how do you write an interesting show for that? It's an important subject, but it's not going to make for an exciting plot. Now, again, if I'm not careful, that theme is going to turn into, I'm so glad God's Word never changes. And my show is going to suck. So how did I make it interesting? Well, I brainstormed a lot of ideas, not even plot ideas, just basic premise ideas. The 2 main hurdles in making a story for this theme is that 1, talking about biblical text accuracy in a puppet show is a no-go. Don't do it. Just don't. However, I overcame this pretty easily. Run the entire plot as a metaphor and bring in the parallel at the end. In this case, I had a comedic plot that seemingly had nothing to do with the day's theme and didn't make sense until my characters related it at the end. Surprise! It was all about the Bible and you didn't even know it! And the second hurdle was that the idea of something not changing is a less interesting comedic tool than something changing a lot. So I flipped it around and made the plot about something changing. The final product? A recreation of Who's on First, where the meaning of the word who keeps changing depending on who is saying it.
Well, who's on first?
Yes.
I mean the fellow's name.
Yes.
I mean the guy playing first.
Who?
The fellow playing first.
Who?
The first baseman.
Who?
The guy playing first.
Who is on
Well,
first?
what are you asking me for?
I'm not asking you. I'm telling you. Who is on first?
I'm asking you who's on first.
That's the man's
Well,
name.
go ahead and tell me.
That's the man's
That's
name.
whose name?
Yes.
Well, go ahead and tell me.
Who?
The guy on first base.
Who?
The fellow playing first.
You take that bit, adapt it to fit your needs, work it into the flow of a plot, like the characters trying to solve a mystery and having actual stake in figuring it out, make the connection to the Bible at the end, and boom. Suddenly you have a functional story instead of a lesson. Let's try another one. This year there was a day where the lesson was, God forgives you. And there was an emphasis, at least in our application of it, on forgiving others as well. The material we were using, which is made by Group by the way, they're pretty cool. Anyways, the material used a butterfly as the animal buddy in a video that day, with the idea that forgiveness is transforming, not unlike a caterpillar undergoing metamorphosis. I latched right onto that forgiveness is transforming part, but I went through a lot of ideas, most of them comedic. Like I was gonna have a caterpillar puppet transform into a human person, preferably some like macho dude wearing a tiny pair of pink butterfly wings. But I ended up shifting all of my shows this year into a hybrid of comedy and drama with a continual plot that ran through them. And so the end result featured a plot where this caterpillar monster thing is causing all this destruction at our camp, which is the setting for the shows. But the cast finds out that the monster originated from a curse cast thousands of years prior on societal criminals, and that the curse can be broken if a surface dweller forgives it for its crimes. While the cast debates forgiving the creature or not, it wounds itself in its own hysteria, and then a musical sequence follows, and it leads to its forgiveness and transformation into one of my puppeteers, this girl dressed up in a full butterfly princess costume. I mean, we went all out. We had lights, music, it was crazy. Now those kids are not going to forget that forgiveness is transforming anytime soon. The point of telling you all this isn't that I'm an amazing storyteller, because I'm not. I see people often telling stories that blow me away with their books or movies or YouTube videos even, whatever it might be. My stuff is just an imitation of the things that have inspired me. But I do know that when people get handed this responsibility, it's tough to make it work. And so hopefully this change in perspective can help you to tell the stories that lead people to Jesus. So if you're a storyteller, don't underestimate the effect that that can have on people. You might not think that the thing that you're good at is useful to the church mission, but you're wrong. I have a lot of random skills and quirks that I never thought would be useful, and now I get to use those skills every week for all sorts of church missions. I can write stories for the puppet show, I can operate technology for the church, I can use my extensive knowledge of internet video to do this. So if you have any skills like being a writer, please, the church needs you. I mean, you seen any Christian movies lately? Yikes. God's Not Dead 4. I haven't seen the trailer. I'm just in the memes for Jesus Facebook group. It's great. Anyway, so like seriously though, get subscribed because we're going to be talking about Christian movies on this channel more than once. But for now, use your skills to further the gospel and keep on redeeming the time. We'll see you in the next one. Me and him, we'll both be here. I'm so glad that I liked this video and left a comment and shared it with my friends and subscribed to Redeeming the Time. Oh, it's amazing. I think that means we're done.